Chapter 20. Aggressiveness has its place. There's an old saying that's attributed to Chojun Miyagi, 1888 to 1953. When your anger goes first, hold your fist, and when your fist goes first, hold your anger. When we look at martial arts and anger, we measure them differently. Anger is the entry point. We look at anger, and we say, anger means we're out of control. And in martial arts, we want to train to constrain our emotions. Anger is a loss of control. It can be associated with things like rage, lower brain function, and a loss of self. Along with that comes the loss of fine motor skills and a lack of judgment, a loss of our ascendant selves. The essence of who we'd like to be as human beings vaporizes when we're angry enough. In Viking sagas, Scandinavian berserkers used uncontrollable rage and bloodlust to become invincible on the battlefield, despite wearing animal skins in lieu of armor. In real life, they were often so frenzied with battle lust that they attacked boulders and trees, bit their shields, and even killed their own comrades while waiting for skirmishes to begin. That really doesn't sound like the kind of folks you'd want on your side, despite their posited prowess in battle. As a society, we hold in high regard people who can control their anger. The greats of history are people who could control their emotions. The thing we find interesting about them is their ability to control themselves. Think of it in the context of sports. A loss of control or rage is seen as unprofessional. It's uncalled for, it's unnecessary, and it's impulsive. It fails to further our strategy, which is to win. And we punish the athlete who succumbs to anger with fines or suspensions. We do not value a loss of control. Even in our most violent sports like MMA, football, and boxing, fines or suspensions follow manifestations of anger. Remember when boxer Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear during a boxing match in Las Vegas? That was more than a quarter century ago, but fans still remember it vividly. He actually bit part of Holyfield's ear off and spit it out, yet the referee did not stop the fight. A few minutes later, Tyson did it again. The fight was called off after that, and chaos erupted in the ring. Tyson was fined more than $3 million. He also lost his boxing license in Nevada, though it was reinstated a year later. In the day-to-day world, our bad behavior can result in fines, jail time, or prison. And that's how we have evolved into having not only personal, but societal control. Let's flip that upside down for a moment and take a look at a case where circumstances are different. When the meek become violent, we lose our collective minds. They're not supposed to do that. We consider being meek, pleasant, and easy to get along with good attributes in modern society. You can argue whether it's nature or nurture. In our experience, anyone can have a bad day, but some people are born with a cooler demeanor. For others, the violent demeanor can be driven into them by circumstance. When we look at people who are pleasant and who become violent, we freak out, in part because that means we cannot predict what's going on around us. For example, in 1984, Bernard Goetz Jr. shot 4 muggers on the New York subway, and we lost our collective minds. There was a trial, there was television, there were court reporters. A mild, nondescript man went crazy on the subway. If the Goetz shooting had been a thug-on-thug crime, we would have not blinked. It would have been just another shooting like what happens in Chicago most weekends. We would have moved on and gone about our day. Chuck Merriman, the famous karate practitioner, said, "Karate lets you be as soft as the world allows and as hard as it requires you to be." Merriman was talking about control. It's about not losing ourselves in a red sea of rage, going berserk like the ancient Vikings, yet applying violence when necessary and doing so calmly and professionally. We honor the physical specimen, the athlete, and when they are pleasant, we call them gentle giants. When Bernard Goetz, a meek engineer who worked at an electronics business, turned vigilante, he triggered widespread debate about crime, violence, and race relations. Society looks at these two situations differently. Martial arts equal control. That allows people to do what Miyagi talked about, hold their fist back if their anger is going first, and when their fist goes up, to keep their head about them. You've seen the person who is over-enthusiastic in the dojo, injuring their training partners. We don't want to work with that person. They get off on hurting us. Well, a good instructor will intervene, of course. Shut that down, take control of it, and suppress future bad behavior. Hey, you're strong. You've got to control yourself. The situation will be corrected, or that practitioner will soon be out of the dojo. We need to build for balance, whether a person is violent or whether they're a little soft. We need to bring balance. We value it personally, and we value balance in society. We'll leave you with a final thought here. John Roseberry, 1946 to 2018, who was the head of the Shorei Shobukan Karate organization and a United States Marine, said, "Be aggressive in your technique, not in your attitude." Those are words to live by. Takeaways. It is critical to constrain anger and maintain self-control in martial arts. Meek or pleasant individuals who exhibit violence are viewed differently than criminals who use violence to make their living. Martial arts are presented as a means to maintain control while applying violence when truly necessary. Quotes, "The true test of a martial artist is not in how much force he can muster, but in how much control he can exert." Ed Parker. Martial arts are not just about self-defense, it's about self-control and self-improvement. Chuck Norris. The ultimate aim of martial arts is not having to use them. Miyamoto Musashi.